confuse thinkers how to turn our brains into major allies in the pursuit of major progress. Some of these case studies come from my strange and varied career as a brain scientist, aerospace manager, Disney executive, and recently, one of America's most senior intelligence officers. Other stories are drawn from history or visionary leaders such as Sam Walton, Lou Gerstner, or Jean Monnet, who, without realizing it, perfected the application of neuroscience to achieve Big Bang results. And you can do the same if you only convince your got-to-have-it-all-right-now brain to put off instant gratification long enough to start the first chapter. Continuing listening will be like lighting a match, one that ignites a long fuse to Big Bang results in your not-too-distant future. Chapter 1. The Ancient Script. Capabilities and Intentions. Flying low and fast to thwart insurgent surface-to-air missiles, our Black Hawk headed south over the desert toward Hilla, the site of ancient Babylon. I adjusted the 5-point harness that held me in the helicopter, twisting in my seat to get a better look at the barren terrain below. The Black Hawk's doors were open, filling the cabin with a frigid, howling wind that made conversation impossible. But the openings gave our gunners an unobstructed field of fire and afforded me a panoramic view of Iraq. I surveyed the landscape and thought about the war. I was an intelligence officer on a 3-week visit downrange, as we called combat zones, to help defeat the growing threat of improvised explosive devices, also known as roadside bombs, or simply IEDs. The number and sophistication of IED attacks had been climbing since the previous March, and coalition casualties were mounting. I led a team of scientists researching new ways to cope with constant improvements insurgents were making to these devices. But gazing at the ancient land below, I wondered whether historic forces would limit my team to temporary successes. The local population had fought occupying powers on and off for more than 2,000 years, and the current insurgents showed little sign of quitting. Moreover, tactics for using IEDs had been improving since the early 19th century, when guerrillas in Spain first buried roadside kegs of gunpowder to attack Napoleon's convoys. Since that time, insurgents from Northern Ireland to Lebanon had successfully used IEDs to harass and sometimes expel larger, better-equipped occupying armies. One of the lessons resistance fighters had learned since Napoleon's occupation of Spain was that by changing the time, place, or method of attack, they could keep defenders off balance. Extremists in Iraq seemed to have absorbed this lesson quickly. Early in the war, coalition forces were able to spot IEDs from signs of recent digging, so insurgents got smarter, hiding their bombs in roadside trash, hollowed-out cement curbs, and even dead animals. It's not these latest IEDs we're up against, I thought. It's 2,000 years of culture and 200 years of learning about how to use IEDs. Clearly, my team and others trying to defeat these resistance fighters were locked in a spiraling contest of move, counter-move, and counter-counter-move for as long as the war lasted. What we needed, I realized, was not an endless series of quick temporary fixes, but fundamental and enduring changes to the way the IED game was played, changes that would tip the odds in our favor. As our helicopter flew over a small settlement of earthen huts, I saw a woman wearing a deep purple burqa, feeding goats in a fenced yard. The vivid color of the woman's clothes stood in stark contrast to the pale desert around her. She looked up, smiled, and waved as we sped past. Looks like they don't all hate us, I thought. And then it struck me. What if my scientists were taking the wrong approach? What if others here didn't want to kill us? Wouldn't that be a better answer to IEDs than any technology my team could develop?